What is going on, everybody? My name is Tim Williams. We're here to break down today's 10-game MLB DraftKings slate. We got a 10-game slate here, a lot to talk about. If you're new to the channel, my name's Tim. Welcome. I've been breaking down these slates daily over on DraftKings. So without any further ado, let's just jump right in. First game we have here, Yankees taking on the Orioles. 9 over under here. You have German going against Kramer. I have a little bit of interest in German here at that price. And then Kramer, not so much, gives up a lot of fly balls. I think the Yankees, again, are in a pretty good spot. We all know that they've been struggling, but they're ninth in home runs overall in the league. So some of the obvious targets, Stan and Judge at their prices. Odor, Urshela, Torres, if you're going for like a full stack. There's a lot of ways to get there. They're going to be super high owned, I'm guessing, again, like the last 2 games. So if you're playing cash games, that's fine. You don't have to worry about ownership. But if you're playing those large GPPs, I probably would look elsewhere, maybe get a one-off in Judge or Stanton. And then on the other side for the Orioles, not a ton of interest. Stewart at 2.9 is a pretty good value play for me. And then Mullins at 4.1 is a little bit priced up, and I don't think the ownership's going to be there, and he's probably leading off. So kind of an interesting spark plug there. Next, we have the Nationals taking on the Blue Jays. Blue Jays at home in Florida, 9.5 over under. Nice tiny ballpark. So somewhat interested on both bats here. You have Fed taking on Matz. Matz has actually been a pretty good pitcher. 8.7K is kind of a lot to pay for. I think he might garner some ownership, but not much interest there for me. There's just other spots I'd rather pay for. And then Fed, no interest at all. On the national side for the bats, Turner, 5.1K. He hit 2 bombs yesterday. He's 11 for 31 with 2 home runs and only 2 strikeouts against Matz. Excellent opportunity for him. Harrison, he's definitely not going to get any ownership. 3.8K, 6 for 14, 2 home runs, 2 strikeouts against Matz as well. And then Gomes, I kind of like at the catcher position. We probably won't see much ownership if he starts at 3.5K. He has the ability to hit the ball out of the park. And then on the Blue Jays side, definitely have major interest here. Fed is just not a good pitcher. Guerrero at 5.7K. He's probably going to be highly owned. 3 home runs yesterday. Biggio at 5.2. Bichette 5.9. Tellez at 3.7K to kind of offset some of that pricing. Definitely some interesting guys on the Blue Jays side. They're priced up, but I think this is the highest run total on the slate. They're in a really good spot here. Next, you have the A's taking on the Rays, 7.5 over under. You have Irvin taking on Glasnow. I actually have interest in both pitchers. Glasnow, obviously, probably the best pitcher on the slate, has the most upside, K upside, 10.3K. I think the A's, they've been hot, but I'm fully not sold on them. 25th in average, 13th in on-base percentage. I think they maybe is just going to be a streaky team from here on out. And then Irvin, I kind of have some interest too. Like the Rays don't really scare me as much. Hitting wise, they're 4th overall in the league in strikeouts. This could be a matchup where you just play both pitchers and hope it's a 1 or 2-1 game. But yeah, not much interest in the bats here. Next, they have the Cubs taking on the Braves, 8.5 over under. Braves favorited. Hendricks taking on Ynoa. Hendricks, 7.7K. I'm just not buying into it. There's not a lot of upside there. And then at 7.8, I think he's going to go more owned. And be somewhat kind of a popular play going against the Cubs, who are 5th in strikeouts. They just don't look very good. Cubs, maybe the one interest I have is Rizzo, 3.9K. That's really kind of a silly price tag on him. And then on the Brave side, this offense is just outstanding. Yeah, even though they're 23rd in average, they're getting it done everywhere else. Acuna at 6K, Freeman at 5.5K. I like that price a lot. Ozuna, maybe a little too pricey at 5.1. Albies 5.1. Darno 4.8. Like, they're kind of pricey, but there's definitely some pitching options on the slate where it can allow you to pay up for the bats. Next, we have the Phillies taking on the Cardinals. No clear favorite here. 8.5 over under. It is going to be rainy today. Velasquez taking on Oviedo. Don't like either pitcher in this matchup. Depending on the weather, definitely have some interest in the bats. Phillies 9th in average, 11th in on-base percentage. Harper at 6.1, Hoskins 5.3, Herrera at 2K to really kind of offset some of these Phillies guys. I don't know if I love a full stack here, but definitely have some interest. And then on the Cardinals, I think they're going to go kind of over owned. The matchup's great. Velasquez is not very good. DeJong at 3.9K, I love. He's got a lot of power. Arenado at 4.4, Goldschmidt at 4.7, just way too cheap. So I love their matchup at home, pending weather. Edman at 4.5, Carlson 3.3 to round out like somewhat of a stack. I definitely have some interest there. Next, we have the Angels taking on the Rangers. Angels favorited here, 9 over under. You have Cobb taking on Dunning. Not as high on Cobb or Dunning today. Cobb at 7.6. It's definitely interesting. And then Dunning at 6.7 against the Angels, second in average, third in home runs, seventh in on base percentage. Just not interested there. Angels bats definitely in play. Trout 6.2. Ohtani's way too cheap, 4.3K. He ended up being like 30% owned and got a big fat donut yesterday. That might drive some ownership away, but that price is just insanely cheap if he's starting. Rendon 4.6 is okay. Walsh at 4.1, Upton 3.3K. Like Upton, Walsh, like it's not sexy, but like those guys do get it done. And then on the Rangers side, I actually do have some interest here, especially if Cobb's going to pick up ownership. And I think I like to give the Rangers a little bit more credit. They actually hitting okay, 15th in average, 15th in on base percentage. These guys can slug the ball. The one thing is that they do strike out. They're the worst team in the league as far as strikeouts go. But Gallo at 3.7, Lau at 4.4, Calhoun 2.9. Solak 4.4K. He had a monster day yesterday. Dahl at 3K is somewhat interesting. They're just kind of somewhat cheap for the power that they do have. Next, we have the Tigers and the White Sox, 7.5 over under. Tigers have Casey Mize taking on Rodon. I do love Rodon on the spot, 9.8K. I think he's going to be fairly popular. It's going to be him and Glasnow. Tigers are just not very good. And generally, I'm not really interested in their bats today. Third in strikeouts, just at the bottom of the league in average and on base percentage. I will say, Miggy at 3.2K, hit a home run yesterday. Goodrum at 3.8K, both very, very good against left-handed pitching. And, Rodon isn't just some like miraculous ace all of a sudden. So I definitely have some interest in at least those two guys. You don't have to pay a lot for them. Kind of get them as a one-off. It will give you some leverage against the field. And then Rodon, I do have interest, obviously. White Sox, third in average, second in on-base percentage. They're a little banged up, got some injuries going on, so I'm curious to see what the lineup looks like today. I don't think people are going to be paying up for them. They're just in a great spot. Mize gives up home runs. They're at home, favorited. So Abreu at 5.6, Anderson at 5.5. No one's going to be playing him. Moncada at 5.2 looks pretty good. Eaton, if you're going with a stack at 4.3, otherwise there's not too much upside there. Grandal, you're just hoping for the power at 5.1. Some of those prices might scare some people away, but you definitely can make it work if you're, pretty flexible with your pitching. Next, you have the Mariners taking on the Astros. Astros favorited 8.5 over under. You have Dunn taking on Greinke. I actually do have a little bit of interest in Greinke at 9.4. I don't think he's going to be highly owned, and I don't think he's dust either. And the Mariners, they strike out a ton. They're really not a great team, that whole lineup, aside from Seager. Dunn, 6.2K, just not a really good pitcher. He's in a really tough spot taking on the Astros. Fourth in average, fifth in on-base percentage. We know what the Astros can do. The problem with the Astros today is they're extremely, extremely expensive. Alvarez at 5.4, Altuve 5.3, Bregman 5.4. Tucker's really the only value on this team at 4K. Correa's priced somewhat like 5.8K, something crazy like that. But Astros are definitely in play here for sure. Mariners bullpen's not very good either. Next, we have the Padres taking on the Diamondbacks, 9 over under. You got Weathers. I wrote Weather, but Weathers taking on Widener. No interest in either pitcher. I actually like Widener a little bit better, but the matchup's horrible for him. Padres side, they didn't do a whole lot yesterday. I still think they're going to be somewhat owned. Tatis obviously in play at 5.4, Grisham 5.3, Machado, Hosmer, Cronenworth were some really good value at 3.5K. I think I have more interest on the Diamondback side. This is a game that has a 9 over under. Diamondbacks are at home, second in home runs, eighth in on base percentage. I just don't think they get a lot of credit, and they're going to be super, super low owned, aside from maybe Carson Kelly at 4.6K. But San Diego's bullpen is great, but they are second overall in home runs allowed. So I like that for the Diamondbacks. And then also for the Diamondbacks, they're first in on base percentage versus left-handed pitching, second in home runs, fourth in average against left-handers. So Weathers might get some more ownership because of the last outing he had. So definitely have some interest in the Diamondbacks. Cabrera 3.6, Escobar 4.8. And then, there's definitely some others in play here. And then next and final game here, we have the Rockies taking on the Giants, 7.7 over under actually. Marquez at 7.5 taking on Wood. Wood at 8.3. He's going to be really popular. He's looked pretty good. The Rockies are not very great. I will say, Rockies are 11th in average. They're somehow, hitting the ball, 6th in home runs. Obviously, they're away from Coors. It's not a great hitting scenario for them. But the only reason why I have some interest in the Rockies, if I'm playing multiple lineups, is that Wood is going to be super high owned. And he's a ground ball pitcher. I know that. But, this is Alex Wood, who, I don't know. I don't think he's just like a slam dunk here. So the ownership's going to be on Wood. I have interest in Story, Crone, Hampson at 3.9K, Blackman at 3.7, sure, why not? Daza at 2.2K, even just to get one or two of those bats in there, just for some leverage. Definitely interesting. Daza for sure. I think that's pretty reasonable. And then on the other side, the Giants, I don't have a lot of interest in. I actually like Marquez. He's not a bad pitcher, and he's away from Coors against the Giants lineup, who's 12th in strikeouts and not as good against right-handed pitching. So Marquez is definitely intriguing to me. I'd rather go Marquez than Cobb. I think I like the Rangers lineup just a little bit better. But the only guy in play for the Giants, Brandon Belt, 2.9K is a little bit silly, but other than that, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We had, one of the viewers, Carmen. He's always posting in the comments. He won $1,000 the other day. Congratulations to him. And best of luck to you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.